Now that we've got our pieces cut out, you should have a front, a back, and a crotch piece. So the first thing we're going to do is sew the front to the crotch piece, so that's the shorter end. And of course, you're going to go right sides together, as we always do. You'll see that this curve has to sew into this straight line. So you're basically just going to ease it in. So you just set up your corner there and your corners here. And then you're just going to ease in that curve, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that seam, and I'll meet you back here. There's my seam. You can see it creates like just a little bit of a cup for comfort. And again, I'm using my serger, but you don't have to. Your regular machine will do this just fine. If I do use my straight stitch machine, my regular machine for this, I'll use a very narrow zigzag or the lightning bolt stitch, and that allows this to stretch, just like the serging allows it to stretch. So now that we've got the front attached to the crotch, let's attach the back. So again, right sides together. And again, we have the curve going into the straight line. So I'll match up my corners here, match up my corner here, and ease the curve in. Here's our back attached to the crotch, and then our front. So now we can do our side seams. So let's just flip the front up, and we're gonna sew the two side seams together here and here. Then our panty will be constructed, and the only thing we have left to do is the elastic. All right, our panty is now constructed. So now here comes the fun part. You can either just wear it like this, just finish your edges if you don't like the feeling of extra tight elastic on you. If you want to use elastic, you can use, this is Pico elastic. This is what I like to use on mine, but there's also an option to do fold over elastic where you literally wrap the edge in your decorative elastic like this, fold it over and sew it down. You can do that if you like. This is a little bit harder to do, but it works for some people. You can get some decorative wide stretch lace. You can put lace in here and cut it out. There are all sorts of things you can do. But the basic technique for elastic goes like this. As you're sewing your elastic on, you're going to want to stretch it just a little bit as you're sewing. Any place where you really want it to sort of hug your body. When you're going around your leg holes, you don't want to stretch in front at all. You're just going to sew it straight one-to-one without stretching the elastic or the fabric. And then when you get around to the back, you are going to want to stretch it, not a lot, but enough so that it sort of draws in your fabric a little bit. And that gives you a little cup around your fanny that makes it more comfortable. But no stretching in the front so that it doesn't cut into your leg when you're wearing it. And I like to do kind of a lightweight stretch around the top just so that my underwear isn't sliding down. So rather than going to the machine, I'm gonna show you right here because it's a little easier to see. Let's turn these right side out. And let's pretend to do our top edge. So I'm going right side of the elastic to the right side of the fabric. And I usually start at the hip because around the top, because you don't want the ends of the elastic to be in the middle somewhere. And I also start at the hip, going around the leg, rather than the crotch area, because you don't want an extra lump in your sensitive parts. So right sides together with the straight edge of the elastic next to the straight edge of your top. Come on. And as I'm sewing, I'm going to stretch this just a little bit. So let me pretend sew this for a second. All right. So let's pretend that I've sewn this on, and you're going to sew this with a zigzag, right? Because it's got to really be able to retain its stretch. After you've sewn this all the way around, and I usually butt them up together, like the other end will come right up here, and I'll just give that a good back and forth to make sure it doesn't come apart. After that, you're going to flip this over, so you just have that little bit of picot showing, and then you zigzag again. Now you can see that I've got like a little rumple here because I've stretched my elastic. So you want to stretch it again when you do your second zigzag pass, right? So that it's gonna be flat as you're sewing it, and then it'll scrunch up again when you're done sewing. So I've just done a little back tack to hold down the end. So now I'm going to stretch that elastic out like that and lay it flat. Stretching. And you can see how it's kind of gathering it up a little bit there. So we're going to do that all the way around. Some people ask, like, how do you know how much to stretch? Well, I think it's about 30 to 50%.
You don't want to stretch it so much that it's like you really have to tug on it. You just want enough so that it's going to gather in just that little bit.
And I don't like to cut my elastic until it's already on. And I like to just get it butted just right up next to the end there so that I can just clip that off right here, and it'll be pretty flat. So they're just butted right up against each other. Flipping this to the inside, just covering the elastic except for the little picots right there. And let's do a quick zigzag tack down. And now I'm gonna stretch so that all those gathers flatten out. Just like that. And go all the way around. Let's get over that seam. And now you have that really nice finish. So that'll stretch on you nicely and be comfortable. Looks like that on the inside. Now you can, if you like working with a twin needle, you can do this top stitching with a twin needle. It'll be zigzag on the back and 2 lines of stitching on the front. Now let's talk about the leg holes for a minute. When you're doing this, you're going to do exactly the same thing you did here on the leg holes, but when you're going along the front of the leg hole and the crotch, you are not going to stretch. No stretching at all. You're just going to lay the elastic down 1 to 1 in the front so that it doesn't dig in when you're wearing it. And the minute you get to this seam between the crotch seam in the back to the hip at the back, you're going to stretch. And what that does is that it makes it nice and smooth and comfortable in the front of your leg. But when you stretch your elastic here, you're going to get a nice little cup in the back for your booty. And then you're done. So easy, so much fun to make. And you'll notice that I'm wearing the same fabric. These are made out of the trash from making my Hepburn tee in the burgundy that you see in the lovely pictures of my friend Gina. Here we go on the leg hole. See, no stretch here. There's the crotch. But when I get to the booty, we're doing the stretch thing. So now, just like on the waistband, I'm gonna flip this like this and top stitch. And there we go, super cute pair of undies for no money and having some fun for about 20 minutes, half an hour. Lots of options. Obviously, you can do these in like sexy laces and anything with a reasonable amount of stretch. You can color block these. I think we talked about that earlier. Lots of options. You can cut these lower. You can cut the waistband lower. You can do whatever you want. But those are the basics on how to make a pair of undies in no time at all. I hope you had fun sewing with me today, and we'll see you again soon.